let's do some Danielle Smithin. So yeah, Danielle Smith had a keynote speech at the recent UCP Caucus, and that's what we're gonna watch right now. So yeah, there's like a whole pile of AGM. Yeah, it's the Annual General Meeting. Sorry.
Thank you very much, everybody.
So that is Brian Jean, and does it have... I don't care about the top chat replay. I don't want to see the live chat either. That's weird. Anyways, Brian Jean and someone else. I can't remember who, but they're both big muckety mucks within the United Conservative Party. And they're going to introduce... We're not going to listen to their introduction because mostly it's just them filleting each other about how super united the Conservatives are. It's totally united. Really, no problems at all.
Thank you. I want to begin by acknowledging that we've just spent a...
When I first saw this, I heard him say, I want to begin by acknowledging, and I was like, oh, they're doing a land acknowledgement. Nope.
Long summer as Conservatives, debating fellow Conservatives about what comes next for our party and province. It was a necessary and valuable process, a process that made our party stronger, a process that made our province stronger. And I think I speak for many here today
one issue.
when I say I'm glad that process is over.
I do believe that, so yeah, they had a very contentious leadership process. I'm sure it was even more contentious if you were actually a part of the party. And I'm sure that they are glad that, at the end of the day, they've got a choice. Whether they all agree with it or not, kind of immaterial. It's good that that part is done.
I didn't get into politics to spend my summers arguing with Brian.
Yeah, Brian.
I got involved in politics to champion the conservative values that I deeply believe in and to turn those conservative ideas and values into real action.
Absolutely.
That's right. Why would we have healthcare?
But folks, Travis, the whole leadership, the race was a great experience. It was great to make some new friends, and the days and nights in community halls and church basements, working with so many old friends and meeting so many new ones, making some great friendships, and many of those friends are here today. All of the leadership candidates brought out the best in one another. Now, it's true we didn't always agree on everything, as you may have noticed, but every single person on that stage with us, you, Travis, me, Rebecca, Todd, Rajan.
Yeah, make no mistake. There's a reason why these two are speaking. They're very prominent members of the party who also were running against Danielle Smith, if I'm not mistaken. And this is the show of unity that the party thinks they need to do right now. Again, one of the things that happens all too often in Alberta politics and conservative politics the world over is that when one group within the organization doesn't get their way, they take their ball and they go home and form a new conservative party, which weakens the conservative party, which I'm 100% for. Yeah, church basements. Lol.
Leela, and of course, our premier.
Hecky shucks. I just want to hear them talk about unity for like 1 second,
Every
and we'll skip
single
forward.
person on that stage, as diverse and as different as we all are, we all ran for the leadership because each of us, every one of us, all of you here today,
Blurp, blurp, blurp.
for Alberta, for Albertans, we all agreed on one thing, that Alberta cannot afford Rachel Notley and her gang of socialists and ideologues who want to take us back to the past.
Yeah, what past we're looking at? Because the NDP party in Calgary, or in Alberta, who he's talking about, were most comparable to the progressive conservative party that was the origin spark for all of the current conservative movement from the era of Peter Lougheed. So yeah, the vicious socialism of the NDP party. What a fucking crock. This is the kind of shit that we're gonna get though. I've been fighting the urge to kick all the Danielle Smith signs in the red hat that have popped up. Well, kick would be the nice thing I would do. I totally get that. I had the same thing with Farkas signs when we had our last municipal election. but I didn't because people are going to be dumb. The past where healthcare was actually accessible. Yeah, crazy stuff like that. Where we had a medical system that could withstand a pandemic, and where we had, a great example of socialism. So there was a company that was owned by the Alberta government, specifically to leverage oil and gas money and to draw that away from business and into the pockets of that company. That company was called the Alberta Energy Company. And their whole thing was they wanted in on the action. And this company came along and they were making money hand over fist for Albertans. It was disgusting. That company would eventually get privatized and would become part of a merger with another company called Pan Canadian Limited to create Encana and ultimately split into Encana and Cenovus. And I don't remember what Encana is called now, but like Vivance or some shit. Oh, wait, that wasn't NDP. That was the same Peter Lougheed who set up that company. So, socialism. This is what baffles me about right-wingers talking about the NDP. The NDP gave you most of what you wanted to begin with and annoyed their own base. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Like the NDP in their run here as leaders, I thought that they were quite intelligent with the way that they ran their party as a sort of a pragmatic approach. I would rather they had done, the wild and sweeping socialism that we hear about. But in fact, what they did was they ran a very, very slightly center-right kind of economy and tried to utilize their position to make some change that was necessary and positive. They weren't perfect by any stretch, and I wouldn't give them that credit, but a hell of a lot better than what we've seen out of years and years and years of conservative rule. It wasn't what I wanted, but I thought it was at least a step for Alberta. Exactly, right? You can't, Rome wasn't built in a day. The Conservatives didn't destroy Alberta in a day. It's been a long process, and so fixing it will take more than a day. Come on, say unity.
Well said. The race this summer was an important part of the democratic process, and I'm proud of the vigorous debate we had over policy and leadership. Today, the United Conservative Party is stronger for that leadership
Stronger. We're together.
Contest. Stronger for the ideas that were debated, stronger for the engagement with tens of thousands of Albertans. And now it's time to turn the page. Our caucus, like our party, is coming together to prepare for an even bigger fight ahead. It's time to look to the future. We just held a 3-day caucus retreat, and I can tell you that as a team, we're energized, we're unified, and we're proud to represent our party and all Albertans in the exciting days ahead.
Caucus. Team Caucus. Boy, howdy, I sure do love me some Alberta people. I tell you what, we gonna do great things this year in the next coming election. We're gonna win. We're gonna end inflation.
As I said, we're all here for a reason, because we care about Alberta, because we love Alberta, because we wanted to build a better, stronger Alberta. And we're prepared to fight for Alberta against anybody who would hold us back, that would hold us down. Now is the time for us all to rally behind our province, to rally behind our party, and to rally behind our new leader, Premier Danielle Smith.
What a rousing speech, Brian. You're nailing it, buddy. Say something stupid now.
My friends, I am so proud to stand here today next to my friend Travis and to stand behind our Premier, because the real fight starts right now. I encourage every single Albertan Conservative and every Albertan who cares about freedom and responsibility and fair treatment for all to stand with us, because we know who the real opponent is. We know how they operate. We know how they lie.
The global conspiracy of globalists, George Soros. Who could it be? I wonder.
We know they do not play fair. Only by working together can we fight back. Only by staying united, remaining strong,
United strong caucus.
will we win.
Look at my strong caucus. It's throbbing with its strength. Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you. She's so grateful to be there. And I'm inspired. I'm already inspired.
Thank you. Well, certainly a lot more people here than at the governance policy discussions last night.
There's more people at the general meeting than at the specific group. No shit.
Thank you to Travis and Brian for that very kind introduction. I'll have more to say about them in just a minute. But good afternoon, my friends. It's great to see you all here at the River Cree Resort and Casino. It's a wonderful facility, and it actually makes me feel a little bit nostalgic for one of my political heroes, Ralph Klein.
Oh, I'm surprised. Are you? This is a person who left the Progressive Conservative Party after Klein's retirement when Stelmach was in power, because Stelmach wanted to do things like actually have health care still, if only barely. And she was like, Spendocrat, I'm leaving and I'm taking my ball and I'm forming a Wild Rose party of my own, goddammit. Yeah, big fan of the Ralphus.
I think Ralph would have really enjoyed the idea of holding the AGM here, don't you think?
That depends. Is the place that you're in kind of like the St. Louis Hotel?
I've been thinking about Ralph quite a bit in these last weeks. He was a regular guy, just a regular guy next door with a heart of gold.
Nope. Let's not do that whole thing where we're pretending that Ralph Klein's good. Ralph Klein was not a regular guy next door. He originally started off that way, but by the time he got into provincial politics, he was a well-crafted machine of conservative policy. He was not a regular guy. He was a miserable shit who hated his life, was pretend sober while getting drunk and showing up in homeless shelters to berate people for being homeless. Yeah, just a regular guy, just one of us. Oh God, is your entire thing going to be trying to remind people of Ralph? Yeah, that's going to be a chunk of it.
Who could get along and chat with basically anyone about anything.
Like yelling at homeless people for being homeless. What a character. What a card.
I'm also struck by the way that
Yeah, he beat his wife too, right? That's a thing.
former MLAs and ministers in his caucus talk about him to this day. Because Ralph never ruled over his caucus with an iron fist.
Right, never. The whole Ralph kept his word thing was not at all about ruling over his party, who campaigned on, and their original Ralph Klein campaign was that we would balance the budget and we would not cut public health. We would not cut spending on public education. We would not cut spending on post-secondary education. We would not cut spending, blah, 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 blah. He made a total of 22 promises. The only one that they kept was that they would balance the budget, which they only did by a fluke of oil prices. And but you know, massive cuts came in, and those were because he told them to. Ultimately, they would have done it anyways because they're shitheels. But he ruled his party with an iron fist. Like, let's not fucking pretend. Yeah, Ralph Bucks, a little provincial bribery.
He believed in empowering MLAs and ministers, and he also believed that MLAs and ministers shared the face of the party, like Jim Dinning and Stockwell Day and Shirley McClellan and Gary Marr, Pat Nelson, Steve West, the list goes on and on.
My favorite of all of those was Stockwell Day, who got in some trouble because he was writing letter after letter to I believe it was a journalist who was gay about how he was going to burn in hell because Stockwell didn't like him.
And these great Klein ministers and Albertans are still remembered today. You see, Ralph understood that no one can govern a province as diverse as Alberta without an exceptional team behind them.
Diverse as Alberta, please. The only peoples they look to borrow the quote from the Blues Brothers, we got both kinds of people, Anglo and Saxon.
and I'm doing my very best to learn from that example. So I wanted to share with you what our team has been doing these last 10 days while the NDP and many of the media have been unloading on us without ceasing. While that storm has been raging outside, our caucus has been building the foundation for a UCP government that Ralph Klein would be proud of.
By saying things like that the unvaccinated are the most, what was it, the most discriminated against group that Danielle has ever seen. That's why the media and the NDP were going, hey, that was a shit thing to say, you fucking idiot.
So if the person sitting beside you is looking a little weary or blurry-eyed today, he or she might be one of your MLAs or one of my staff, because we have been working with just a few hours of sleep and a ton of coffee, and in the case of Marshall, just a few darts over the last 10 days. Most of these transitions take 2 months, and I asked our caucus to do it in 2 weeks. I started by spending significant one-on-one time with every member of our caucus individually.
Caucus. Also, it takes 2 months, but I'm getting it done in 2 weeks, but I'm not going to have an iron fist.
And in fact, in the space of 6 days, I was able to meet with 59 of our UCP MLAs for about 30 to 45 minutes each time. And that's why I can say that the quality and skill set and education and commitment of these men and women is exceptional and beyond any team the NDP could ever dream of putting forward as a prospective government.
Like, all I can tell you is the amount of sad boy dick punching that's happening here is just awesome. You know, from the earlier comment about, like, the NDP ruined everything, and they're like, oh, we have a really great team. Not like the stupid NDP full of dumb stupids that can't even team with a bunch of smarts like us. We got our caucus. She looks like she just loves to eat lemons, just a straight old sour face. What's awesome, like, you know, right now, I've got it captured. This is the face of someone who is mean. Like, legitimately, I have to take my glasses. Yeah, it's legitimately, and it's not because it's freeze framed. Like, if you watch her facial expressions, every time she talks about the NDP, she's just like, yeah, fuck them. And it's just like, wow, you're a fucking child, aren't you?
And I know at the end of the day, Albertans will recognize that when they go to the polls in 2023. Yesterday, from amongst our amazing...
She looks like the Trunchable from Matilda. I don't know what that is, but I'm going to find out right now. She does look a little bit like the Trunchbull. I don't know who that is or what they're doing, but you're not wrong.
Caucus members, I announced a cabinet. And let me tell you, those were very hard choices because there were so many good candidates to choose from. But I believe we got it right. And further, we have instituted a policy process where every single MLA, minister or not, is going to be meaningfully involved in creating and developing government policy.
Isn't that the point? I mean, I know it's not. I know democracy doesn't work like that. And I know her democracy isn't going to work like that. But, like, isn't that the point?
Every MLA must be...
She was the villain, evil school principal that threw children due to her class as a shot put Olympian. Oh, sweet. Yeah, that does track. Considering that Danielle was once a member of the school board, and that school board got erased from history because they were so shit.
Be empowered to effectively represent the constituents they serve regardless of their title. That's how Ralph ran things, and that's how I'm going to run things. And as for our cabinet,
I'm Ralph.
We have the strong and steady fiscal leadership of our finance minister, Travis Taves. As you can see, Travis has been a pillar of unity since the end of the leadership race.
Unity.
I'm so blessed to have him on our team.
Unity.
Thank you so much, Travis. And our Jobs, Economy, and Northern Development Minister, Brian Jean, is totally committed to the unity of our caucus, to growing our economy, and to making our northern communities, ensuring that they have the resources they need to keep up with that growth. Thank you so much, Brian.
I'm really impressed with the fact that Brian and Travis both understand unity in the caucus. In fact, it's so much we've been referring to it simply as cock uni. Unit cock. Unity.
And of course, there's Todd Lowen, Alberta's new Minister of Forestry, Parks and Tourism.
Sadly, I don't know anything about several of these people because I'm a shitty Albertan. That's also like a really, really dumb face. Just gonna like her laugh looks.
And Rebecca Schultz, our Minister of Municipal Affairs.
We even let women's in. We're very progressive.
And Rajan Sawhney, our Minister of Trade, Immigration and Multiculturalism.
And we got a brown person, and we put him in charge of multiculturalism, which also our party hates.
And let's hear it also for my two deputy premiers, Minister Casey Madhu and Minister Nathan Neudorf, who I've asked to be my eyes and ears in northern and southern Alberta to listen and report back on what Albertans are saying and what we can do better to serve them. Thank you, Minister Madhu and Minister Neudorf.
I don't know if anyone else understands this, but the point of elected representatives is that they're supposed to be there for all of their constituents to do exactly that role. The fact that she's like, I'm going to have two people listen to all of Alberta is kind of a scary sentiment. They have to go 25 years into the past to discover their only leader they respect. And yeah, like they never talk about Lougheed. Because as much as Lougheed was essentially a very beloved Alberta premier, his policies in today's political landscape would be construed as socialism. They literally have one guy who fits that Christo-fascist libertarian model that they want to present, or models, I suppose, that they want to present. And that's their only choice, right? What are you going to do? Don Getty? Ed Stelmach, Jim Prentice. Maybe they could probably go with Prentice. Was Prentice premier? I think he was, wasn't he? It's been a while. My old brain. Anyways.
Now I could go on bragging about all of our cabinet members and our caucus members, but I'm not going to do that.
I could keep bragging about my caucus
Right now, but I do want to make special mention of Jackie Armstrong Hominick. She is one of our fantastic parliamentary secretaries, and she's tasked with a very specific mandate. I've asked her to take charge of the Ukrainian refugee resettlement file. And I want to ask you to please help assist our new Ukrainian Albertans fleeing the terrible invasion of Ukraine by Russia.
I'm actually honestly surprised by that. I don't know who told Danielle that towing the queue line is probably not the best look, but this does surprise me. Danielle Smith is definitely someone who, if I'm not mistaken, like let's just quickly go. Okay, let's see what she said. Oh, that's her midway going, hey, forget about it, huh? Fucking Ralph Klein, eh? Premier Danielle Smith is coming under fire for comments she made in the past on a right-wing social media platform around the conflict in Ukraine, alongside a number of other topics. Smith posted, look, seriously, Calgary Herald. So we have ads, scroll down, headline, giant picture. Fine, I get the need for a giant picture. More ads, ad pop-up. Like, how much ads can you cram in here? Smith posted on the platform locals.com in February, questioning if areas of Ukraine should be allowed to break away if they wanted to, saying it appears borders were poorly drawn after the Second World War, resulting in ensuing conflict. It seems to me the great powers of the world did a terrible job defining the new borders of countries after World War II, wrote Smith on the website locals.com on February 24th. So much of the conflict we have had since is due to different people being crammed under one national government that don't like each other. I read the two regions of Ukraine feel more affinity to Russia. Should nations be allowed to break away and govern themselves independently? If that's truly what the people want, then I think so. Now, this makes sense because Danielle. Oh shit! I didn't fucking fade over. Trust me, it was there. Ugh, that sucked. Oh well. Danielle, big fan of individual sovereignty and people wanting to break away and at least currying favor with those mavericks who may want to not be a part of Canada anymore. Yeah, she's a neato mosquito.
We must help each of these new Albertans and their families find a place to stay and community and friends to call their own. Jackie will help us by making several announcements on what our government is doing to help with this initiative in the coming days and weeks. Thank you so much, Jackie, for stepping up with that.
Yeah, that really surprises me because the impression I've always had is that Danielle was one of those people who was like, Putin's doing a good thing. And her comments that I just looked at there kind of clearly imply that maybe the Ukrainians want to be Russians and the Russians they're just helping the process. Come on, dog.
Let's give our new cabinet ministers, parliamentary secretaries, and our entire UCP caucus a warm round of applause.
Yeah. Self.
Retreat.
Okay.
We also had an opportunity earlier this week to attend a caucus retreat to discuss the priorities and policies Albertans want us to focus on in the coming months and to socialize and get to know each other a little bit better.
She said socialize. What kind of commie bullshit is that?
We even took an opportunity to play some paintball. And I can tell you, I will remember that experience for the rest of my life, as will Nate Horner when he tried to sneak up on me. He will know not to do that again. And I'll specifically remember the purple welts that I have for at least the next couple of weeks. But that retreat was an amazingly powerful and needed team-building opportunity. And let me tell you, we have all been a little bit quiet.
This government's supposed to be about fiscal responsibility, but they're out there playing paintball? What kind of Sam Hill horse shit is this?
For these past 10 days, regrouping and bringing this team together. But let me assure you, we will not be quiet for much longer. Our team is now unified. Our
Unity.
team is now ready to fight for Albertans. And come hell or high water, we are going to beat the NDP in 2023.
It literally sounds like she forgot what year it was going to be that they had to run. Now, that's a legitimate oops. I'm sure that's not a big thing, but that was funny.
And come hell or high water, we are going to beat the NDP in 2023.
23. Shit. Come hell or high water.
Now, as I said, we spent most of the days at the retreat talking about Albertans' priorities, and there are four major themes that emerged out of that discussion. One,
no blacks, no Jews, no gays.
Affordability and the inflation crisis created by the NDP Liberal coalition in Ottawa.
I love that. I love that so much, that people are worried about affordability, which they are, based on the inflation crisis, which is true, created by those goddamn lily-livered, rubbernecking lefties in goddamn federal politics who ain't even listening to the Albertans out there. Wait a tick. Doesn't that sound a lot like when people go, you know why we have inflation? Joe Biden. Or, you know why we have inflation? Every fucking person on the planet who's in power. The problem is people don't understand what inflation is. And so they go, well, it must be the government. The reason that my prices at Safeway are higher now are because of Justin Trudeau. Cool. Except totally not fucking valid. I vote hell and high water. I would gladly take them up on the high water part. If we could just get all of the UCP in a basin of some kind, and then we just fill it with some high water right to, let's say, the top area, put a lid on it, I'd be good with that.
Number two, jobs and economy during this time of global economic uncertainty. Number three, improving health care on an expedited basis. And
what does that even mean? Improving healthcare on an expedited basis. I hope she explains that. I don't remember if she does.
Number four, standing up to the NDP Liberal coalition government in Ottawa and defending Alberta's interests.
This is a big one. This is the thing. This is not accidental. Hey, Luna of Chaos, how you doing? Good to have you here. I see you're on the YouTubes. hope you're having a good day and stuff. So yeah, the sentiment there of we got to stand up to the evil NDP and stuff. What this is laying the groundwork for her Sovereignty Act that she wants to put through.
So I'm going to speak to each of these priorities and give you a good idea of where we're headed on each of them. So first off, the NDP Liberal inflation and affordability crisis. Let there be no doubt, this crisis lands primarily at the feet of the Trudeau-Singh coalition government in
the Trudeau-Singh coalition government, who obviously set international prices, affected the global supply chain, invented a pandemic, and ultimately have refused to ensure that worker salaries the world over match the pace of inflation. Those filthy lefties.
Ottawa. Justin Trudeau has taken on more federal debt during his time in office than all previous prime ministers combined.
Now, first off, that probably is a true number. I have no way of knowing if that's true or not. However, what did Justin Trudeau do during his time in office to incur a lot of that debt? It was a little thing called CERB and the PPE loads. But I think CERB is probably the primary reason why there was a huge investment of cost to Trudeau's government. So what is that? Why would we do that? Well, frankly, our economy is in a lot better shape than it would have been if we had not experimented with a temporary UBI. I personally support a permanent UBI, but the temporary UBI that we implemented during COVID was vital to keep what little industry we could continue to have moving. It prevented the rental crises that are happening in the States, the massive amount of... Don't get me wrong, there are people that lost their houses. There are people that lost all kinds of stuff during this little shindiggery of COVID, but nowhere near the impact that the U.S. had because of the incurring this kind of debt. And now you can say, well, that was obviously a good short-term measure, but it's a terrible idea in the long run. Again, I disagree. I feel like if we can remove housing concerns and fears from people, that might be a way for us to do things like reduce the cost of policing in prison and stuff. Been a while since I watched some of your shows. Just caught you. Oh, I'm glad to have you here. It's good to have you indeed.
And of course, there are the continuous stream of anti-energy policies and carbon taxes that Rachel Notley, Jagmeet Singh, and Justin Trudeau are so fond of.
Remember, the last time we had an NDP government, one of their big policies was reinvigorating the electrical grid. So I was working for the government agency that controls the electrical grid at the time. And there was two big projects. One of them was about creating an auction system for future-facing energy provision by energy vendors. The other one was trying to get more green energy to be the foundation of our our energy supply for electricity for Albertans. And the reason I don't work in that place anymore is because immediately after the UCP election happened and the NDP were taken out, I knew the writing was on the wall and I went and got a different job because those programs got canceled. Those were transformative programs that would have been very vital to our sustainability as as a province. But instead, it's anti-energy things like a carbon tax, because fossil fuels, they don't do nothing wrong, and there ain't no such thing as climate change. It's just George Soros.
The results of the above fiscal insanity and economic sanctions are predictable. Whether it's
almost like if we provide what is needed for the people to allow them to live their lives, these people will be happy and contribute to society. Now that sounds like filthy communism. Or at least socialism, the good kind.
Fuel, electricity, groceries, or fertilizer for our farmers. The cost of everything we need to live and to raise our families is soared. As a government, we can't solve...
Is soared? So I'm being a pedantic jackass there, but has soared, not is soared.
This inflation crisis on our own, but we can certainly keep our books balanced, and we can ensure that Albertans and their families are better able to manage through this storm.
So if we had done that, if we had made sure our books were balanced, then we wouldn't have engaged in the whole CERB experiment. Would Albertans have been in better or worse condition as a result? I'm going to guess worse.
So over the coming weeks and months, you'll see our government take decisive action in this regard to ensure that families are not obliged to choose between power for their homes in winter or the nutritional food for their families. We will lower the cost of electricity.
Lower the cost of electricity. That was raised because of you, but not you specifically, Danielle, but the UCP came in and immediately made massive changes to the rules around the electricity pricing that then fucked over all Albertans and resulted in you guys having to give a rebates, and now you're going to do something about it? That's awesome. Fucking NDP. Fucking Justin Trudeau. Upper middle class, not the average Albertan. Yay, we're unfucking what we fucked.
To ease the financial burden for seniors and vulnerable Albertans, our government will ensure that they have more in their wallets right away to meet the rising cost of life's necessities. To restore affordability to daily life during a time when budgets are being stretched beyond limits, our government will look to removing the provincial fuel tax and ensure that gas stations lower their prices appropriately.
That's right. Our government is going to go call up the various Standard Oil, Petro-Canada, Gulf, all those kinds of, and they're going to be like, hey, you make sure your prices are good for Albertans. And they're going to go, oh, sorry, Miss Smith, I did not realize we were gouging. I guess we'll have to make a difference. That's such a fucking empty bullshit statement. Empty bullshit statement. Damn straight, housing will certainly help. We used to have affordable housing, may have been during Lougheed. I don't think Lougheed was the factor there. I think that the combination of foreign investment in housing markets has been a huge no-no. And I also think that as the city has grown, and all sort of cities have continued to grow, that creates a sort of unreal scarcity, especially when we pretend like all of the empty space that's currently sitting with buildings on it is somehow not empty for reasons. We're creating a fake scarcity. We're intentionally having expensive housing prices. And how's that working out? I bet that was the NDP.
When we do.
Is that a teleprompter right there? It is, isn't it? Yep, she has a teleprompter. Okay, cool. So when she couldn't remember the year, that was probably just a momentary hiccup.
And friends, Albertans are the owners of this massive energy resource. It's time to ensure that each of you benefit from that ownership. Affordability is the primary challenge facing Albertans today, and we'll make sure that every decision we make from now on until this crisis is over addresses this for Albertans. Now,
again, this is empty, and I'll explain to you why this is empty. So she's not going to go after oil companies in Alberta. You know why? Because if we look at this group, I guarantee you a good number of those people own oil companies in Alberta. That's a thing that just ain't fucking on the plate of stuff that we're gonna do anything about. This is empty talk, right? It's the kind of populist bullshit like we're gonna make sure that oil prices are accessible to Albertans, and your gas isn't gonna kill you at the pump. Bullshit. You have no control over this. You were just saying fun words that you think, and she may very well believe she has some power here. She just doesn't. Nor does she want it. Remember, these are the freedom people. How is it freedom when the government is telling oil companies what they can sell their product for? I'll give you a hint. It's fucking not.
Decision we make from now on until this crisis is over addresses this for Albertans. Now, number two. Our caucus is also laser.
Oh, you know what? I also wanted. I saw we don't own shit. I will tell you something that we do own. We own the Western Canadian Sedimentary Basin, or at least Alberta's section of it. And that is the thing that has made Alberta an economic powerhouse for, tens of years. But it's also a thing that's drying up. And We need to address that. The companies need to address that. They need to find better ways. But they won't, because they don't have to, because Danielle's not going to make them.
Focused on increasing jobs and strengthening the economy. This has been perhaps the greatest strength of our UCP government over these last 3 years.
I disagree. So the UCP government, what have they done for jobs that I can think of? Mining. Tech Resources is now in Alberta, and I get calls regularly from headhunters that are like, hey, want to come work for Tech Resources? And I'm like, nope. No, I do not. I don't care how much they're going to offer me. I do not. I work in oil and gas. I'm not a fucking saint, but come the fuck on.
After the train wreck of an economy handed to them by Rachel Notley.
Bullshit. The economy, when the Conservatives took over, was doing really good. You know, I might be remembering it incorrectly. I don't think it was a train wreck of an economy. In fact, I think it was doing really good. And I think the thing that has happened in the interim that caused problems would have been a little global pandemic we all know and love named COVID. She's using the same talking points. Yeah, this is exactly like, you know, blaming the federal leftist government coalition for inflation. You know, the last guys left us with a steaming bag of horse shit for an economy. You know, this is all like textbook bullshit from them. Yeah, it was doing well. That's my memory as well, is that our economy was actually doing, it wasn't perfect, but it was not terrible. And here we are now. I don't blame the UCP for the economy tanking. I blame, you know, for aspects of that, because they don't know how to run an economy. But certainly, you know, COVID happened. That's why we're in dire straits. But you know what? She's relying on people's short-term memory not being that good. All she needs to do is say, you know, those fucking spendocrats left us with a bag of horse shit. Now we're going to fix it. Okay, well, you've been in power for 4 years. Did you fix it then? No? Oh, maybe you should have.
But we have more to do. We will immediately index and...
No, let me just say, they shouldn't have, because that would have meant just destroying more public spending, which is just, please don't. Please don't. It was better for healthcare too. Yeah, everything was better during the NDP from a public spend kind of perspective. Yes, our spending was up from the previous government because we've been doing this fucking Klein era libertarianist bullshit politics for years, where we've been slashing funding on every single public service to the point where they're all bleeding, and then now these people can go, why do we even have these public services? I bet private industry could do a better job. Yeah, because private industry would actually budget for things.
Lower your taxes so that families will not have to choose between their rent and food. We'll also look at lowering taxes for our ag producers, innovators, and entrepreneurs, because they're tax businesses from around the world. And whether it's agriculture or forestry or technology or tourism or energy, whether the businesses we are attracting are small or medium or large, we need to diversify our economy and promote more jobs and prosperity for all Albertans.
I agree with that. I don't think that she has any interest in doing it, and I don't think she has a plan for doing it. But I agree, diversifying the economy is a very good idea. I wonder if that includes alternative energy sources. I think not.
And we will fight the NDP Liberal Coalition's 300% increase to the consumer carbon tax. 300%, my friends.
300% increase to the carbon tax. I don't know if that... Oh, I pushed the wrong button. I don't know if that's a valid number or not. Well, fuck it. I don't know what the carbon tax is. But my understanding is it's not a shit ton of money. It affects certain industries more, absolutely. But it's, if we triple this carbon tax, which, again, I don't know that that's what we're legitimately looking at, it's probably not going to be like, holy shit, now all of a sudden we're spending tens of thousands of dollars a month on carbon tax, which is the vibe that she wants to put out. And in fact, I think most of the carbon tax that we're talking about is aimed at business, who are the largest problem that we have to address with the carbon tax. Carbon tax is just simply put, it's solid policy to deal with the situation that we find ourselves in.
during an inflation crisis. Have these folks lost their minds? Yes. You thought that was a rhetorical question. Yes, yes, they have. A 300% increase in carbon tax will cost Alberta families almost $1,000 per year net of all rebates, and that's just the tax itself. Not to mention dollars per year net of all rebates. Increase in carbon tax will cost Alberta families almost $1,000 per year net of all rebates, and that's just
net of all rebates is kind of the key there, right? If I understand, and I might be 100% wrong on this, I'm willing to say that, but my understanding is that the whole point of the system that we've implemented is to give rebates to families and then not give those rebates to industry. I could be wrong. I could be 100% wrong on this, but like implying that feels dishonest. Again, I may be incorrect, but it feels dishonest.
Just the tax itself. Not to mention the accelerated inflation it will cause. And my friends, incredibly, Rachel Notley is on the record that she supports this carbon tax increase 100%.
Of course she is, because it's, something that we need to do. But, wackadoos don't do. Wackadoos don't. Notley's carbon tax was better before Kenny got rid of it, and then we got saddled with the federal system. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. For I can take these off now. The sun's not in my eyes. For reasons of politics and nothing more than reasons of politics, Jason Kenney decided that we wouldn't have a carbon tax, even though it says in the agreements that were, like the national agreements, it says, well, if you don't have a carbon tax, then we will impose one federally on you. And he was like, why? What's happening? Which is all just political theater. It was intentionally done to, drive home a point. And now we're looking at a shitty answer from everybody. So thanks, Jason. Nailed it, buddy.
That's what she thinks is good for Alberta families. Well, I don't.
I know you don't. It is good for Alberta families because carbon taxes are designed to promote a change in both the energy industry and reliance on energy. And those are good for Alberta families. Dummy.
Albertans can't afford these woke, incompetent NDP policies, whether in Ottawa or in Edmonton.
Woke policies. Nothing is more woke than saying, hey, pay your carbon tax. That's all the kids are doing the carbon tax these days. That's really a thing that's real and for sure. Yeah, because fuck Trudeau. That is her policy. That is her entire platform is fuck Trudeau. Also guns. Yay! You said fuck Trudeau. And the mother
Rachel
folks.
Notley can stand up for Jagmeet Singh all she wants. I'm going to stand up for Albertans. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm going to stand up for Albertans. You know what this is? This is like old-timey politics where, like, the guy on the back of the car with the broom would show up and he'd be like, I'm here. Congressman Delahunt, he wants to keep things exactly as they are, but I'm here with my broom because I'm sweeping up the ne'er-do-wells. And, like, that's it. That's it. Alberta, where you can get American-style politics with a maple syrup flavor. Not only that, but we're moving slowly. We're getting the upgrade, and pretty soon we'll have American-style Civil War terrorism.
Now on to healthcare, another priority identified and discussed at our caucus retreat. Our MLAs are deeply concerned about healthcare.
Yeah, about the fact that it's available to people.
As are all Albertans, and rightly so. And here's the problem. We have amazing frontline staff. Our nurses, our doctors, our paramedics, but we have far too many managers.
So I'm just going to call bullshit real quick. Here's the thing. First off, Danielle Smith don't give a fuck number one about our frontline workers. Never has, never will. Conservative politics has had in Alberta, has had one true chorus the entire time since King Ralph. And that was so much waste in Alberta healthcare. So much waste. It's all managers drawing manager salaries to do manager things. This is a lie. This is a fucking absolute straight up bullshit lie. And it's a lie that's easy to prove. We have cut hundreds of millions of dollars over that time, always with the it's got to come out of the middle management diatribe. Well, we don't have any fucking, like, we obviously still have middle management, but like not an unreasonable amount. Things are running lean. This is just populism. This is, hey, all you frontline workers, I'm not throwing you under the bus, winkety winkety. But what I will say is that there's just too many bosses. Too many. I literally, I would expect her to say like a horribly racist thing that popped into my head there because I heard it in her voice. I'm not going to say it because it's an old saying it's problematic, but I could see it. I could see it. Anyways.
Consultants and not enough frontline staff. But
Did
we
she just
have far too many managers and consultants. And
we have consultants because we don't have employees in those roles because you keep cutting the fucking budgets. Okay.
not enough frontline staff.
No, we don't have enough frontline staff because we don't have enough funding. And where we've been even remotely able to do so, we have forced those frontline staff to no longer be employed workers, but contract staff. So, for example, the cleaning staff. Once upon a time, the cleaners at the hospitals were employees, but yeah, you can say it, and you know exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, once upon a time, those employees, that was a middle class gig. You know, I remember knowing people that worked in the hospitals doing various cleaning type jobs, making what I thought at the time was a ridiculous amount of money, but it was because there was all a union structure, and those were intended to be like careers, because you value the fact, you know, it's easy to dismiss that and be like, you're some teenage kid coming along mopping up puke or whatever. No, that's a much more important and a much more complex job than simply mopping up puke. And you want people who are going to be good at it. You want to be able to keep them for long periods of time, preferably their entire career in that space where they can grow and thrive and stuff. But we got rid of that. We contracted it all out. And now we can look at it as a cost as opposed to a part of the overall management and running of a healthcare system. We can just go, well, this line item on the spreadsheet seems high. Why don't we just not pay it? Hey, there you go. That was it. That was the one. I could totally see Danielle Smith saying exactly, and that's like the gist of what she's saying. But I could see her using all the racy words too.
That simply must change, and we can't wait any longer. We also have a crisis in emergency medical services. People wait too long for emergency room treatment.
Why is that, Danielle? Is it because of middle managers, or is it because that consecutively you guys keep cutting the budgets of every single hospital in favor of, as Luna of Chaos points out, privatization? You weaken the system enough that you can go, see, it just makes sense to privatize. That's your game. That's always been your game. And now you're just doing that game real good and going, why are there healthcare system waits? The answer is because you're not funding healthcare. You're treating it like a business instead of a service.
The system, my friends, is broken.
No, you're breaking the system.
Most of those managing AHS today are holdovers from the NDP years.
Bullshit. I mean, no, you know what? That's probably true, because the Conservative years, they fired everyone by just not having any money to pay any of the people in management positions. And then I'm sure that the NDP years, they actually tried to staff appropriately. And now those holdovers are still in play.
They have had their chance to fix this bloated system, and they have largely failed on almost all accounts.
Because the budgets they were given were shitty.
Failure is no longer an option. So working with Minister Jason Copping and without disrupting frontline services, we will make the substantive changes that need to be made without delay.
I wonder what those words mean. Could it mean that they're going to inject a whole pile of money into our failing healthcare system so that we can have it sustainable and have it work. I feel like there's another idea. I feel like they want to move forward with this, not a two-tiered model. And it's not public and private. It's just that, we open up new hospitals for wealthy, or better yet, we just make, maybe we take one of the existing hospitals, that shitty one in the Northeast, and we make it like the poor people's hospital. And it's free and garbage, but the other hospitals are, freed up to have a lot of money from private industry and from their own privatized system. I wonder if that's the road you're going down, Danielle.
We will ensure that all areas of the province have prompt, efficient ambulance service.
How you going to do that without having more ambulances, Danielle?
To address emergency room lineups will improve the triage on the front end.
How are you going to do that without increasing the amount of people available for triage? Or are you talking about hiring more people to do triage, but not having management for them?
Ensuring that those in need of additional care, but not in need of a hospital bed, are moved to more appropriate facilities and supported there.
What facilities would those be, Danielle? Are they facilities that exist right now, or are they magic in your head facilities?
We can and we must act, and there will be announcements on this very soon.
Yeah, I know what those announcements are going to look like. This, again, talking about that long con from earlier, this is what they're doing here. In the States, it was abortion rights. Here it has always been about schools and hospitals, both of which are expensive to run, absolutely. And a private model can be presented that can look on paper like you're getting a better deal. You never are. But this was the game. From the time Klein took office, slash the fuck out of both of those aspects of our public service, and then begin questioning why they suck so bad. And keep putting in the heads of Albertans the idea that, why do they suck so bad? Boy, if only private industry, which we know never fucks things up, if only private industry would just step in and save us, like, wouldn't that be so much better? And here we are.
Finally, the Ottawa problem. There can be no...
The Ottawa problem. Those globalists in Ottawa. The brown fella and the son of Fidel Castro. I read it on the internets.
No doubt that the current NDP Liberal Alliance is just the latest in a long line of Ottawa governments that have frustrated the legitimate aspirations of hardworking Albertans. That stops now.
Stops now. We're just gonna overpower the federal government. It's we're good. I'll just raise my hand, and in a very stern voice, I'm gonna say, "Oh no."
When Ottawa announces policies and laws that attack our economy or violate the rights of our people, or when Ottawa seeks to take control of our sovereign areas of provincial jurisdiction.
Some very, very key things here. Let's look at each point she just said.
Working Albertans. That stops now. When Ottawa announces policies and laws that attack our economy.
So that's carbon tax. That's what she's specifically talking about. And also, I suppose, transfer payments, but that hasn't been a thing that has happened. Like, we pay transfer payments, but on a system that, if I understand correctly, has been in place for like a long ass time. So, not a thing.
Or violate the rights of our people.
You know what that is? That's a mask mandate. Which, again, there was no federal mask mandate. It's important to remember the closest thing to a federal mask mandate was that federal employees had to wear masks, and contractors working in federal facilities that were coming in had to be masked, had to do vaccinations and things. But that's what she's talking about. This is a bullshit dog whistle with Q-shaped notes coming out of it. This is bullshit. This is a lie.
Or when Ottawa seeks to take control of our sovereign areas of
sovereign. I wonder what she means by sovereign.
Provincial jurisdiction, our UCP government will not enforce those laws and policies in this province.
States' rights, baby. That's what she's saying. This is the exact same equivalent as Americans like Ted Cruz talking about states' rights. This is very, very concerning because a lot of what makes Canada a pretty fucking cool place to live is enshrined in federal legislation, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the Human Rights Act, and you know, much more, the Canadian Constitution. And this Sovereignty Act of hers, which we have not seen yet, if I understand correctly, we just hear about it, and she's like, no, don't worry, it'll be constitutional, it'll be all good. We're not a sovereign nation. We are a province under the sovereignty of Canada. There are federal jurisdictions and there are provincial jurisdictions and there are municipal jurisdictions. And to imply that they're doing things to strip us of our rights or whatever the fuck, all the shit that they talk about. Chandro, I think it was talking about like, we're going to pass a law that says that you can never come and take our guns. Like, when has that ever happened in the history of fucking ever? Give you a hint. The answer is never.
Period.
Yeah, it was up to AHS and individual businesses to decide on masking. Most did. And there was allowances. If you didn't want a mask and you didn't want to have vaccinations, that was fine, but there were rules around how that had to look. That's not a mandate. A mandate would have been like every single person has to now get the vaccine and have to wear a face diaper every fucking day. That's not what we got. Look, they're all standing because they can afford healthcare to have their legs, fixed when they're hurt. Anytime these people gather in numbers, it should be a concern to all of us.
Let me be very clear. I will never, ever apologize for standing up for the people of Alberta and the province that I serve.
No one wants you to stand up or to stop standing up or to apologize. What they were looking for was like, maybe you should say, I'm sorry when you say stupid shit. When she made the comment about how unvaccinated people are the most discriminated against group in all the whole wide world that she's ever seen, I believe that's true. I don't think she's ever been to a reservation. I don't think she's ever been to a poor neighborhood where there are people of color who are struggling. I don't believe she's ever done any of the shit that would actually show her people who are legitimately discriminated against. Seriously, like, she looks like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever the magic number is. She looks like the person who was like, and if I'm elected class president, homework will be made illegal. We will have the right to punch every single teacher in the face if they say mean things to us. And Kenny Zibbler will not be allowed to go to prom because he's a jerk and he cheated on me with Gwyneth. And fuck that guy. And fuck her too.
We will pass the Sovereignty Act. Work has already begun on crafting it. We worked on it earlier this week at the Caucus retreat. We still have further work to do, but I've asked for it to be ready by the time I take my seat in the legislature. We will then introduce it, and we will pass it, and we will use it to push Ottawa back into its own lane every single time that they step out of line and intrude on our constitutional rights. Alberta.
Here's the thing. I don't disagree with the idea that there's a reason why we have provincial jurisdiction on some things and federal jurisdiction on others, and that there needs to be a mechanism by which the provinces can defend their sovereignty against the federal government. That thing is called the Canadian Constitution. We already have that. That's the thing that outlines where the lines in the sand are. That's how this do. So either we're just writing some piece of legislation that isn't going to mean fucking nothing. Well, that is ultimately the case. Or we're writing something that will be seizing power from the federal government out of the Constitution, which means that it won't happen. This is just stupid fucking bullshit. And how much money is it going to cost us to go down this road? How much important taxpayer money that we could be giving to those frontline healthcare workers is it going to cost for Danielle to be able to smugly say, well, we passed some legislation. Sure, it didn't do anything. And it was totally worthless. And no one was impacted whatsoever by this. But I feel good about myself.
Will no longer ask permission from Ottawa to be prosperous and free. Those days
hello
are done.
brain drain, for
And
sure.
My friends, I did not campaign by saying things to win your favor and your votes, only to change the channel on you later. We
Yeah, you did.
will get this done. But I also want to make it clear that our caucus is completely committed to building a strong and united Canada.
No, you're not. You're specifically saying that you want sovereignty, that you want to fight back against the federales. Like, how can you imply that we're committed to a strong and united Canada, unless you mean united under your rule or the rule of people like you?
But we shall not do that from a posture of weakness. We shall do that from a position of strength. Rachel Notley fearmongers, of course. She says doing this is akin to separation. But she and others who are saying this are not telling you the truth. What she is really doing is covering for her own failure as a premier. She had 4 years to show us that she would stand up for Alberta. Remember how she brought in the carbon tax to get social license? That's what they called it. And what did she get? Nothing. So,
Because you stopped it.
when Ottawa attacks our energy workers again, or
You mean like when they brought in a carbon tax because you stopped it?
won't budge on equalization, when they triple the carbon tax, when they
Why would they budge on equalization? This is a constitutional vote. You would have to have the majority of premiers in agreement with you. It's not that the federal government doesn't care about equalization payments. It's that this is fucking already enshrined in law. Dumb fuck.
they landlock our resources and confiscate legal firearms,
Never happens. Show me one instance of I'm going to type in. Okay. I'm going to switch to that view so you can see better what I'm typing so that there's no wackadoodliness. All right. Let's just type in Albertan gun confiscation rates. And if I could spell, that'd be fucking rad. Spell check. Apparently it's so bad that it doesn't. Confiscation. Albertans won't participate in federal efforts to seize prohibited, firearms confiscation. Alberta police says police resources too scarce. Alberta to rebel against Ottawa's proposed assault-style gun ban. This is from Alberta's resistance to federal buyback program. This is also federal ban was announced. That's fine. Not fine. I'm not a fan of that legislation, but again, like all I'm seeing is buyback. I'm not seeing anyone actually being stripped of their gun. Like, this isn't a thing that's real. This is imaginary hokey pokey. And like, that's just silly. I'm just waiting for this the Queen of Canada to waltz in. Yes, I've got written down on my list of stuff to talk about the Queen of Canada. I know so little about our incredible regent, but I want to do maybe we'll do that next week. we'll stream and dig into the life and times of the Queen of Canada, because I think inquiring minds want to know. Anyways, let's let Danielle go again.
What do you think she will do? She'll do what she has always done. Absolutely nothing.
No. That was the equivalent of just saying she's a big dumb stupid poo-poo head and no one likes the way she smells of farts.
She and her federal leader, Jagmeet Singh, would happily stand by and watch as their good friend, Justin Trudeau, launches economic attack after attack after attack on this province.
Examples? Cite your sources?
Well, our UCP caucus team and I will not let that happen.
We're going to be a slippery caucus. We're going to be a hard caucus. We're going to thrust back with our caucus every time they come at us. We'll come for them, come on them. Yeah, it never happened. Yeah, we did the buybacks because it would not end well if people tried to take guns. Like this is known stuff. The change in legislation, which I'm not a giant fan of because I don't think it does what it needs to do. But the whole like banning the further sale of and transfer of ownership of firearms is not someone coming and taking your gun. There's a lot of white people here. Am I the only one noticing that? There's a lot of white people. They're not all white people, but there's a lot of white people here.
My friends, never before has an NDP or Liberal Party won an election in modern Alberta history when Conservatives are united.
In literally like Albertan history, there's been one NDP government. This is the dumbest shit. Also, who was the not united part of that? That was the Wild Rose Party, right? Who was their leader? Oh, right, it was you.
Over the next 7 months, our Conservative family, we will pour ourselves into ensuring that we beat the NDP in 2023. And we are going to need every single one of you to help us. We must knock on doors, talk to our friends, volunteer, donate, and give our time and talent for this cause, because this is Alberta.
I'm glad she didn't add kill brown people. That's yeah, I'm at least that's a step in the right direction.
We love this province and all it stands for. We won't sit by and allow socialist NDP policies to destroy what Albertans have worked so tirelessly to build. Our Alberta is one of the most prosperous places on earth, one of the great bastions of freedom and liberty anywhere, where people come from all over Canada and all over the world to build their dreams. This province is worth fighting for, no matter what the media or the woke Twitter mob throw at us. If we stay united, if we stay true to the strength and values of Manning and Lougheed and Klein, we will inevitably prevail.
They mentioned Lougheed at least, but like.
So join with me, let's get to work, let's show Albertans what we've got, let's beat the NDP resoundingly in 2023, and let's make sure Alberta always remains strong and free.
Oh, that's clever. I'll give her that. Using the phrase strong and free. I mean, like, it's MAGA, right? Oh, wrong button. It's MAGA, and I get that. But, like, clever. That's clever. I'm willing to give credit where credit's due. It took, like, the last literally 3 words that she said for me to give her any credit. But that was pretty clever. First off, I want to say thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed, please like and subscribe. It really does help me out. Thank you to my patrons that support me on Patreon. I am a little streamer, and these people are all really awesome for supporting me. I try to put up stuff at least once a week, and I live stream every Saturday at noon Mountain Time on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, like an old man. Again, thanks for watching, and have a kick-ass day.